This is called ashareshte. It's kind of soup with noodles, beans, lentils, some greens, fried mint. It's really delicious and healthy. You can go no wrong with this ash.
The biggest thing, I think the biggest challenge that this music has presented this week is probably just getting our ears used to hearing different pitches, using different pitches that we wouldn't ordinarily use. Or if we did, we would kind of think, whoa, we're out of tune. So with this music, we're exploring quarter tones much more than we do in Western music. So that's been a bit of ear opener for us, and we've been trying to adjust to that tonality and that sound. So that took some getting used to at the very beginning, but after a few days and with Dariush's help and coaching, I think hopefully we're doing the music justice at this point.
فلک را سقب بشگاه فیم مترهی نورازینه.
What does that translate to?
I'm not going to translate.
Oh, okay.
I have to parse the poetry, and I am not the best poetry parser. As Dr. Davis to translate that in.
One of the challenges that we've encountered and enjoyed this week is the difference in the Persian musical language compared to our Western traditions. In the Western scale, we divide an octave into 12 parts, 12 semitones. So a half step is the smallest division of the scale that we work with. And we spend so many countless hours training ourselves to play very accurately and consistently, let's say E and E flat, so that there is no ambiguity about those two pitches. But in the Persian tradition, between E and E flat, there is another note, an E quarter flat. And these smaller divisions fall in the exact spots that we've been told since we're children studying the instrument. Don't put your fingers in those places. You're playing in the cracks and you're playing out of tune. So this was one of the challenges that we had to wrap our ears and our heads around, is understanding these smaller scale divisions. And then that's only a technical beginning. But to understand why emotionally and why melodically, why structurally these small divisions of scales would have an inflection on the emotional contact, on the character of what we're playing. And E 3/4 sharp has a weight to it, and it has a bend. It has its own kind of gravity that is directing how we feel about these melodies that we are producing and playing in the work. And so this was just a fantastic discovery, because it is unique to the Persian music. There are, of course, other scale systems and other musical languages that employ microtones. Indian music is a good example, and I think we'd run across these kinds of small, finely tuned musical notes before. But in the Persian music, they have their own unique way of combining the notes, of using different modal systems based on the tetrachord to build their melodies. And so we spent our week together with Dr. Sagathi, our guest artist who plays the santur, learning about these modes and these melodies and this rich musical heritage.
Other than like every other facet, artistically speaking, we've used this weekend as a way to really open our ears to a different scale. So good to see you. So used to playing in the 12 notes of the Western scale, you know, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F sharp, and back to G. And within those notes, we don't live between those notes. And in the Persian culture, they use tetrachords that have a different tuning system than we're used to. So between the notes, for example, between the notes B flat and B natural, there's still another note. And so to get our ears to, first of all, recognize that as an actual note, and then embrace it, and then be able to hear whether that particular note, which to our Western trained ears, for all purposes, we've always been told that's out of tune. To learn where that note is and to tune that note, it's really opened our horizons. It's opened my horizons, it's opened my ears. It's a little bit like that Persian ice cream that we had out there that's got saffron and rose water, and the first taste of the saffron and the rose water in an ice cream texture is shock and disbelief. And then you realize just how good it is, and you want more of it. And that's kind of how I feel about these quarter tones. The first time we started playing it, I couldn't believe what I was doing. I couldn't hear it. It was very frustrating. And then the more we played it, the more I enjoyed it. Now I just realize what it just opens up a whole new level of expressiveness in the musical language. So for me, that's definitely been the most unusual part of this artistically for me. So we're used to our second finger in here, right there. But so between those two notes, there resides. There's another note. It's like having a whole new dimension that we never get to go to in Western music, and so it's been interesting, it's been challenging, and I'm loving it now. But in the beginning, I was pulling my hair out.
My name is Behzad Namazi, and I play a variety of ethnic instruments, setar, tar. I'm a classically trained violinist, and I've been studying music for 15 years.
So how different is it playing violin as opposed to your sitar?
Setar, yeah. Not to be confused with the Indian sitar, right. The Ravi Shankar, right. But the setar actually has 4 strings. It's a 4-stringed, long-necked lute, and it's quite different, but in a way similar to the violin. It has 4 strings. They share that in common, and they're both melodic instruments. And learning violin at an very early age has helped me tremendously in my setar progression, and music synergizes with different instruments. So
you take sitar lessons?
I did take sitar lessons in the past, and now I'm teaching lessons on both tar, sitar, and violin as well.
What are those?
These are called mezrab or mallets. Mallets.
Get a closer look. Wow. Pretty
Delicate.
This is Dr. Saqafi. He is a professional santur player, and he has studied under the training of such masters, such prominent masters as Ustad Abul Hassan Sabah, Ustad Faramarz Paivar, and he himself is one of the foremost santur players we have and are privileged to have in the United States of America. And I am privileged to have heard his music tonight, his improvisation in the Persian mode of shur, along with the Carpe Diem string quartet. Aghay Saqafi, it is a pleasure to have heard your performance tonight.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure to be here, and especially playing with Carpe Diem, which are superb musicians beyond the boundaries. I'm glad that I made this trip from Pittsburgh, and it seems to be very successful.
Thank you.